Okay, continuing on. A marriage of creative union. Eve was created from Adam in his deep sleep and presented to him when he woke. This is a type of death and resurrection. The next time we see God putting someone to sleep will be Abraham. That's when he will confirm the everlasting covenant with the Son. Amen. That is not a covenant with Abraham, but ultimately with his seed, Christ. A deep sleep, which is a type of death, fell upon Abraham. Then the oven and the torch, the Father and the Son, passed through the pieces of the sacrifice and made a covenant. This is really where God, Christ, confirmed that he would give his life for the sheep and that he would do everything to secure us. Genesis 2:21 through 25 and Genesis 15:12 through 17 and John 10:11 and Hebrews 13:21. Amen. Adam in a sense sacrificed for Eve to be produced. Adam had never been asleep before. Perhaps it was scary, we don't know, but he paid a price for Eve. Something came out of him to create her. She was not created from the dust of the ground, but from him. Similarly, Christ paid a price to produce us. Creating us cost him something. Yes, he redeemed us with his blood. As sons of Adam, we needed to be redeemed to even be qualified to have anything to do with him. But then this special group were baptized into his death. Our starting place was while he was asleep, and God built something out from Christ. Amen. In resurrection, we are that building. We are the creative work of God. We are what God produced and brought to Christ. He loves us. Amen. There is no covenant between the original man and woman. There doesn't need to be because there's one party. They're one party. There's no sense of separateness. No contractual stipulations of I'll be your husband if you do this and you be my wife if I do that. There's no idea of a disillusion because it's your own flesh. No one hates his own flesh, but nourishes and cherishes it. This is speaking of Christ and the church. The first marriage was indissoluble and inseparable, and what God joined, no man could separate. Amen. This is a picture, again, of Christ and the church. However, therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother and cleave to his wife, and they shall be one flesh. On one hand, this is a type of Christ in the church, but on the other hand, it's a picture for marriage on the earth. Remember, Genesis was written by God through Moses. Moses is recounting all this and writing it down according to God's commandment while giving the law. Excuse me. I believe he wrote all this while he was up in the mountain. He also came down with the law. The law was a covenant God made with the nation of Israel because they existed apart from him. They were not from his side, so to speak, and he was dealing with them as a nation and as individuals. Galatians 3:19 through 20. Amen. He gave them this covenant called marriage for two parties to come together who are not from each other, who are not part of each other. That's what marriage in the world is, and it's a picture, but it's not the reality. Amen. We are not literally one flesh with our spouse, but marriage kind of makes it so. Marriage, in that sense, in the natural realm, is like a covenant. Yes, God has a covenant with Israel to betroth her to himself, but it's not the same kind of marriage that we see in the beginning as God intended. When the Jews asked Jesus about marriage and divorce, he said, Moses permitted you to divorce your wives because of the hardness of your hearts, but it was not this way from the beginning. Matthew 19:8. Amen. From the beginning, the type of marriage we have is meant to be like that of Christ and the church. This is what God is referring to. Between Christ and the church, it is not a matter of two parties with obligations. It is one party, Adam and this woman, drawn from his side. He is irrevocably identified with her, and she with him. When she eats from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, the account says, and her husband with her. Genesis 3:6. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. He follows her wherever she goes. If she falls into sin, he follows her into sin. Didn't Christ do the same for us? He became sin for us. Amen. Whatever we went through, he had to take upon himself. However, whatever he has, we take upon it, it's bestowed on us. He took our sin, but we became his righteousness. He took our death, but we took his life, because he's the eternal one and death can't hold him. Today, he goes with us. Remember what Paul said in 1 Corinthians 6? Know you not that your bodies are the members of Christ? Shall I then take the members of Christ and make them the members of a harlot? God forbid. What? Know you not that he which is joined to a harlot is one body? For two, said he, shall be one flesh. But he that is joined unto the Lord is one spirit. Amen. When Paul deals with the matter of fornication in Corinth, he deals with it by pointing them to their union with Christ and its implications. Not only are they sinning, but they are bringing Christ with them as members of him, joining Christ to a harlot. That's heavy, like Eve ate and her husband with her. In a positive sense, in a positive sense, because we come from him, death cannot hold us either. Even though he was identified with us in sin, we have been identified with him in life to reign with him through grace. Amen.